Understanding web development. The internet is one of the greatest creations by humans. It connects millions of computers worldwide and contains huge amounts of information. This information is stored in the form of digital pages, which are created by people known as web developers. The process of creating such web pages is known as web development. Here are some terms related to web development. Web page. It is a digital document that contains information in the form of text, images, video, etc. It is a single page of information which can be accessed through a web browser. Website. A website is a collection of related web pages. These web pages are connected through links. URL. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. It is a unique address used to locate an online resource. Each and every web page on the internet has a unique URL which can be seen on the address bar of a web browser. Web browser. It is an application that is used to access information on the internet. It is an essential tool to navigate the internet and interact with the information stored there. Some examples of web browsers are Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, and Mozilla Firefox.
Introduction to HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is a language used for web development. Structure of an HTML document. This is the base structure of an HTML document. Rules of writing HTML code. There are some rules that you must follow while writing HTML code. Tag names should not contain spaces. Container tags should be closed properly. Attribute values must be closed in double quotes. While nesting tags, the innermost tag is closed first.
Elements of HTML. Web pages in HTML are created using HTML code. These codes have various elements, which are generally called tags and attributes. Let us learn about them. Tags. These are instructions that tell the browser how to display the content. Each tag has a different purpose. Tags are written within angular brackets. There are two types of tags. Container tag. These tags consist of three parts: opening tag, content, and closing tag. The syntax of a container tag is opening tag, content, closing tag. These are examples of container tag. Empty tag. These tags have no closing tags. Empty tags only have an opening tag. The syntax of an empty tag is opening tag, contents. Here is an example of an empty tag. Attributes. Attributes are keywords that are used to control the behavior of the tag. An attribute provides additional information or settings for a tag. It lets you control a tag precisely. It is always defined in the opening tag. The syntax to use an attribute is. Here is an example of an attribute.
Writing HTML programs. In this module, you will learn how to write HTML programs. To write an HTML program, you need two tools: an HTML editor and a web browser. An HTML editor is an application software program that allows us to create and write HTML codes. A web browser provides a user interface to interpret HTML program. HTML editors. HTML editors are of two types: WYSIWYG editor and text editor. WYSIWYG stands for What You See Is What You Get. It is called so because when you use it, you can see the end results of what is being created. In WYSIWYG editor, you don't have to write HTML codes to create web pages. On the other hand, a text editor requires you to have an extensive knowledge of HTML programming. Adobe Dreamweaver and Google Web Designer are some examples of WYSIWYG editor. Notepad, WordPad, and TextEdit are some examples of text editors. Creating an HTML document. Let's now create a web page using the Notepad text editor. Let's open Notepad and write a simple HTML code. It's time to save the file now. While saving the file, type in the name for the file with an extension .html. Viewing an HTML document. Now to view the file, double-click on it. The default browser displays the HTML document. Let's observe an HTML program now. A tag is the basic component of an HTML document. This is a start or opening tag. It begins with a less than symbol and ends with a greater than symbol. This is an end or closing tag. It has a forward slash before its name. We add content between the start and end tags. The start tag, end tag, and content added between them form an element. This is an element. Not all elements have end tags. Some elements have only the start tag. These are called empty elements. This is an empty element. The elements that have both start and end tags are called container elements. This is a container element. Basic HTML tags. Here are some of the elementary tags used in HTML. Heading tag. The heading tag defines the heading levels in an HTML document. There are 6 heading levels: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. Paragraph element. The paragraph element is used to define a paragraph on a web page. It begins with the paragraph tag and ends with the closing paragraph tag. Horizontal rule. The horizontal rule element is used to draw a horizontal line on a web page. It is an empty element and begins with the horizontal rule tag. Bold. The bold element is used to set the text in bold. This is a bold element. Italics. The italics element is used to set the text in italics. It begins with the italic tag and ends with the closing italic tag. This is an italics element. Underline. The underline element is used to underline the text. It begins with the underline tag and ends with the closing underline tag. This is an underline element. Now you have learned how to write an HTML program. You have also become familiar with the basic HTML tags. You can now practice writing HTML programs and creating HTML documents.
Understanding CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It is a language for describing the presentation of web pages. CSS interacts with HTML to style the web pages. For example, look at this Amazon web page. This is the page we are familiar with. What happens if we remove the HTML elements from it? Not so appealing. This is why CSS is important. In CSS, a selector is a pattern that is used to select specific HTML elements. For example, in this code, the element P is a selector. Once it is defined, every occurrence of P tag will be affected as per the definition. The information within the curly brackets is called a declaration. Declaration refers to the properties and values that are applied to the selector. Your computer teacher has asked you to create a web page on food using CSS. How would you do this? Open Notepad and type this code. HTML, HEAD, Title, food and body. Title, head. Body style is equal to background, image, URL, food.jpg. Background, repeat, no repeat. Background position, right center. Use CSS to give a background image to the web page. Use other properties to set the picture on the web page. To change the font color of the header to green, in the same way, to change the font of text in the paragraph, use the font family property. Food is essential for human body. The substances present in the food that are required by human body are called nutrients. Nutrients are chemical substances. Carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins and minerals are the main nutrients. Water and roughage, also called fiber, are also important nutrients. Fats are a good source of energy. They also help to keep our body warm. Our body uses fats when it needs energy. We get fats from both plants and animals. Plant fats are obtained from foods such as mustard oil, vegetable oil, and nuts. Animal fats are obtained from foods such as ghee and butter. Once created, save the document as food.html and open it on the web browser.
CSS properties. Cascading Style Sheets or CSS is the language for describing the presentation of web pages like colors, layout, and fonts. There are 5 factors which will help you in styling your web pages. These are background properties, text properties, font properties, margin properties, border properties. Let us learn how to format these properties in detail. Background properties. It plays an important role in the visual of the web page as it controls the background. To apply the background properties, this is the basic syntax. You can also add a background image using this syntax. Text properties. In CSS, you can format various attributes of text like text color. This syntax is used to change the color of the text. Here, you can also provide the hex value or RGB value for desired color. Text alignment. This syntax is used to align the text left, right, center or justify. Text case. This syntax is used to change the case format of the text like lowercase, uppercase, etc. Font properties. You can easily format the font in CSS. To apply the font properties, this is the basic syntax. You can format more font properties like font family. It specifies the font family for the text. Font size. It sets the size of the font. Font weight. It defines the thickness or boldness of the font. Font style. It specifies the style of the font like italics. Text transform. It changes the case of the text like lowercase or uppercase. Color. It sets the color of the text. Margin properties. It specifies the margin of the complete web page like margin top, margin right, margin left, and margin bottom. This is the basic syntax for applying margin properties. Border properties. It allows you to modify the style, color, and width of the border of any element on the web page. This is the basic syntax for applying border properties. You can change the border style using this syntax. And the color of the border can be changed using this syntax. Now, let us write the following HTML code. We will apply all the CSS properties in this code. After writing the code, open it in the web browser. You will get the following output of the code.